This is the story of why Nicki Minaj publicly declared herself probably Donald Trump's #1 fan, and what that moment exposed about politics, celebrity power, and backlash in 2026. For more than a decade, Nicki Minaj has stayed firmly planted at the center of global pop culture, driven by chart-topping music, a carefully built image, and a willingness to speak without filters. January of 2026 pushed her into headlines for a very different reason, one that had nothing to do with albums, tour, or award shows. That shift caught a lot of people off guard. On a political stage in Washington, D.C., Minaj praised Donald Trump, defended him from criticism, and described herself in plain language as probably the president's no. One fan, the comment landed immediately. This video breaks down exactly what Nicki Minaj said, where and when it happened, why it carried weight, how it tied into a federal policy initiative, and why the reaction spread as fast as it did. Who Nicki Minaj is, and why her voice matters, born Annika Marriage. Nicki Minaj built her career into one of the most recognizable brands in modern music, with a fan base that follows her far beyond record releases. That level of visibility means her words rarely stay contained, especially once they move outside entertainment and into politics. Attention follows her. Public statements from Minaj tend to travel fast, and political comments travel even faster, largely because she has never leaned toward careful neutrality. Over time, she has shown a growing comfort with addressing controversial subjects directly, without softening her position for public approval. By late 2025 and early 2026, that approach placed her squarely inside national political conversations. Where and when the statement happened January 28, 2026, marked the moment Nicki Minaj made the #1 fan remark, and the location mattered just as much as the words themselves. Washington, D.C. served as the backdrop, not for a concert or interview, but for a formal policy event tied to the federal government. That distinction changed everything. The setting was the Trump Accounts Summit, hosted by the U.S. Treasury Department and centered on the rollout of a new initiative called Trump Accounts. Unlike an online post or a red carpet quote, this statement came from a stage shared with political leaders and major donors. The result was immediate national attention. At the center of the summit sat the Trump Accounts Initiative, a federal savings and investment program designed specifically for children. According to reporting, every eligible child would receive a $1,000 federal seed contribution at birth, a detail emphasized repeatedly during the rollout. The numbers drove the message. Eligibility applied to children born between January 1, 2025, and December 31, 2028, and parents could contribute up to $5,000 per year into each account. Access to the funds would remain restricted until the child turned 18, locking the money away for long-term growth. That structure framed the program as a future-focused investment. Some projections cited in coverage suggested that accounts left untouched could grow dramatically over time, even reaching very large totals by adulthood, though outcomes would depend on market performance. Alongside federal backing, the summit highlighted private donors whose pledges helped position the initiative as both public and privately supported. That mix set the tone for the event. Nicki Minaj did not arrive at the Trump Accounts Summit simply to observe from the sidelines. She took the microphone, spoke in favor of the initiative, and made clear she intended to support it financially. That involvement shifted how her appearance was viewed. Verified reporting placed her personal pledge between $150,000 and $300,000, a range that immediately linked her to the financial backbone of the program. Those numbers placed her alongside donors like Michael and Susan Dell, who were reported to have committed more than $6 billion. Scale mattered in that comparison. By contributing her own money, Minaj moved beyond endorsement and into participation, aligning herself directly with a Trump-backed policy initiative. That choice turned her remarks into something more permanent than a headline quote. Money has a way of doing that. During her remarks, Nicki Minaj addressed Donald Trump directly, along with the criticism surrounding him. Her words were unambiguous, delivered without hesitation and aimed squarely at the public conversation surrounding his presidency. There was no attempt to soften the message. "I am probably the president's #1 fan, and that's not going to change," she said, a line that quickly became the defining quote of the event. She continued by explaining that backlash and criticism did not push her away, and instead encouraged her to support him more openly. The tone was defiant. Minaj also framed Trump as someone being unfairly targeted, saying she would not allow him to be bullied, and adding that she believed God was protecting him. Those statements landed with full force, and within hours, headlines had spread well beyond Washington. The moment traveled fast. Donald Trump responded warmly during the summit, reinforcing the sense of mutual approval playing out on stage. According to reporting, he commented that his administration had done pretty well with Minaj's community, a line that quickly circulated alongside video clips from the event. Visibility followed immediately. Images and footage showed the two appearing together publicly, including moments of them holding hands on stage, which helped fuel the viral response. Trump later joked about growing his nails to match Minaj's, a comment widely reported as a lighthearted exchange. Those details amplified attention. The combination of policy discussion, celebrity presence, and unscripted moments turned the summit into a media event that extended far beyond its original purpose. Momentum took over from there. Celebrity endorsements in politics are nothing new, yet this one landed differently. Nicki Minaj did not hedge, qualify, or frame her position around policy details alone, choosing instead to describe her support in personal terms. That choice stood out. Unlike statements made on social media or in entertainment interviews, this declaration happened during a formal policy event tied to a federal initiative. The contrast between setting and message gave the comment added weight and visibility. Context changed perception. Another layer came from her past remarks, which made this public alignment feel less like a continuation and more like a turn. That contrast became impossible to ignore once coverage widened. History caught up with the moment. Back in 2020, Nicki Minaj publicly stated that she would not jump on the Trump bandwagon, a comment that aligned her with artists who kept their distance during his earlier presidency. At the time, the message was clear and uncomplicated. Distance defined that period. Late 2025 shifted the tone, with reporting pointing to more frequent pro-Trump and conservative-leaning statements from Minaj. December of that year brought a surprise appearance at America Fest 2025, where she appeared alongside Erica Kirk, a figure connected to Trump-aligned activism. The pattern became harder to dismiss. By January 2026, ambiguity had disappeared, replaced by direct language and public appearances that left little room for interpretation. The shift was complete. Reaction to Minaj's comments arrived quickly and from every direction. Supporters praised her for speaking openly and refusing to bend under criticism, framing her stance as personal conviction. Approval found its audience. Critics responded just as loudly, with some fans expressing shock, disappointment, or anger over her alignment with Trump. Media coverage highlighted the division, noting how her political stance sparked debate across entertainment coverage and social platforms. Division dominated the conversation. Social media reactions varied widely, reflecting opinion rather than verified facts, yet the scale of the response underscored how deeply the moment resonated. Attention stayed fixed. Rather than stepping back, Nicki Minaj addressed the backlash head-on. She made it clear that hateful posts and criticism had no negative effect on her position. Her words removed any doubt. According to her own statements, the pushback only strengthened her resolve to support Trump more openly. That framing turned criticism into fuel rather than pressure. Resistance became part of the message. The approach signaled that public reaction would not dictate her political alignment. She chose that lane deliberately. Nicki Minaj's appearance at the Trump Accounts Summit reignited debate over celebrity involvement in politics. Supporters argued that public figures hold the same rights as anyone else to back leaders and policies they believe in. Freedom of expression remained central. Critics focused on the influence celebrities carry and questioned how endorsements shape public understanding of policy. In Minaj's case, her financial pledge and language defending Trump intensified that debate. Money sharpened the argument. The clash of those views played out across media coverage in the days that followed. The discussion widened quickly. Unlike symbolic endorsements, Minaj's support tied directly to a specific federal initiative. Trump accounts were presented as a long-term investment tool for families, and her contribution linked her to the program's rollout in a tangible way. That connection changed the narrative. Financial involvement made her support harder to dismiss as casual, placing her squarely within the initiative's public face. Coverage followed from both entertainment outlets and political media. Reach expanded instantly. Policy and pop culture collided on a very visible stage. The effect lingered. Coverage from outlets including PBS and People framed the moment as a collision between pop culture and politics. Reporting focused not only on what was said, but on how unexpected the alignment appeared. Surprise drove interest. Images from the summit, especially those showing Minaj and Trump together on stage, continued circulating well after the event. Those visuals became shorthand for the story itself. Pictures carried the narrative forward. The moment settled into public memory faster than many policy events ever do. Visibility made the difference. By late January 2026, Nicki Minaj had not walked back any of her statements. Public support for Donald Trump remained part of the ongoing discussion across political and entertainment media. Silence confirmed consistency. Her association with the Trump accounts initiative continued, alongside the pro-Trump appearances made in late 2025 and early 2026. No verified reports indicated any reversal or clarification of the #1 fan comment. The stance held. Public conversation showed no signs of slowing. The topic stayed active. At its core, this moment extended far beyond a viral quote. A major cultural figure stepped fully into a political role, backed her words with money, and accepted the backlash that followed. Commitment defined the move. Nicki Minaj's statement forced conversations about loyalty, influence, and how public figures navigate deeply divided political climates. Whether viewed as bold honesty or controversial alignment, the moment marked a turning point in her public political engagement. That shift was unmistakable. It reshaped how her voice is heard moving forward. The impact remains. This was the story of how Nicki Minaj publicly declared herself probably Donald Trump's no. One fan, why she said it and why it mattered. It unfolded at a federal policy event, connected to a major financial initiative, followed a visible change in her political stance, and sparked intense reaction from supporters and critics alike. As celebrity and politics continue to overlap, this moment stands as a clear example of how powerful and polarizing that intersection can become.